guess if you're happy with what we covered in the last video, anything on page 208, anything from 1 to 10 would be worthwhile trying, or even probably 11. Yeah. So I need to kind of, I guess, look at what else I can do with this, what else they could give me. Like, what if they give me the SN formula for a particular pattern? You just have to remember what that actually means. Now, a TN formula, like I gave in the last video, would get you any term in the sequence. Your SN formula is going to be different. Like if I asked you for S5, and then instead of or the sum of the first 5 terms, instead of N, you're going to put in a 5. And what that will give you is not your 5th term, but the sum of your first 5 terms. So, you know, it's important maybe to do out something like that and remember what it is that you're getting. So if you got S1, well, that's summing up your first term, which actually is great because that'll just give me my first term. So that's 4 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1. So that is 1. S2 would be 4 times 2 squared minus 3 times 2. So 4 times 2 squared is 16 minus 6 is 10, I think. Now, I almost filled in there, that's 10. It's not 10. The sum of your first and second term gives you 10, which means that has to be 9. If the first term we figured out is 1, the second one has to be 9 because that gives you a sum of 10. S3 is going to give you the sum of your first 3 terms. So that is 36 minus 9, 27. So 27 is the sum of your first 3 terms, which means that has to be 17. And if you look at it, that's a common difference of 8, and that's a common difference of 8. So we now know our pattern. And we could, if we wanted to, get Tn for this, because we now have A plus n minus 1 times D, which in this situation is 8. Work that out and you have Tn, and then you can find out your whole sequence if you wanted to, or any part of your sequence in a quick way. There is something that you could look at for this. This is not necessary. If you're capable of doing this, then what I'm about to do here is not necessary, but it's a good thing to maybe understand, just to help your understanding of all that we're doing. So if you were to generally look at SN is going to be made up of term 1 plus term 2 plus term 3 plus term 4 plus, I don't know, if we say it very general way, your second last term, whatever that is, plus your last term, whatever that is. So they might give you the formula for SN and you can work all this out, but it's good to know that SN is made up of T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 all the way up as far as Tn. It's good to understand what we mean by that. If you were to subtract Sn minus 1, so before I subtract it, we need to know what Sn minus 1 is made up of. It's made up of T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 all the way up as far as Tn minus 1. If you were to subtract those, so if you got T1 minus T1, T2 minus T2, T3 minus T3, and so on, they would all cancel off and you would be left with just Tn. So if they ever give you the Sn formula, you are capable of finding Sn minus 1. And if you subtract them, you will always get the formula for Tn. And let me show you exactly what I mean in terms of how that works. Even if we look at our last example. So you know that's Sn for this particular pattern. You could do all this, which is actually quite fast, and I think it's the easiest way to do it, as long as you understand what SN means and what you're going to get up here when you start trying to figure out your pattern. Or you could actually, I don't know, learn that maybe, as in some people will understand it and won't ever have to learn it, that if you get SN, so in this question, rather than doing it this way, you could just decide, right, I have SN. If I get SN minus 1, that means anywhere I have an N, I'm going to put an N minus 1. Now, I'm going to clean that up. So that's SN minus 1, eventually cleaned up. So if I get SN and subtract the SN minus 1, I should end up with the formula for TN, the nth term, for this particular pattern that I'm trying to find. You know, if, let's say I don't do it this way, this is another option. So I'm going to get SN, and I'm going to subtract SN minus 1. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with 8n minus 7. And that's Tn. Which means that if I want T1, the first term, anywhere I have an n, I put in a 1, I'll get the answer 1. If I want T2, anywhere I have an n, I'll put in a 2 and I'll get 9. If I want T3, anywhere I have an n, I can put in a 3 and I'll get 17. So it's, when I'm given this piece of information, I have two options. I can figure it out this way, figure out my pattern this way, or I can use this knowledge here and try and figure out my pattern using this information here, working it out, finding my Tn, and then finding my pattern. If you're happy with that, then you could try 12, 13, 14, and I guess if you want to challenge yourself and revise some logs, you could try 15, but I would only do 15 if I've probably had a little bit of revision of logs.